Long before modern cities, before roads cut through the forests, there was an ancient village hidden deep within the African wilderness. The people of Umuora believed that some trees were more than trees. They believed the oldest among them were sacred, and among all the trees in the forest, there was one that nobody dared to touch. They called it the Tree of the Ancestors. It had stood there for hundreds of years. Its roots were wider than houses. Its branches disappeared into the darkness of the sky, and according to the elders, the spirits of the village's ancestors watched over the people from within its enormous trunk. No one was allowed to cut it. No one was allowed to sleep beneath it. And after sunset, nobody was allowed to go near it. But on one particular night, something changed. The village dogs began barking uncontrollably. Birds flew from the forest in the middle of the night. And then the ground began to shake. At first, nobody understood what was happening. Some villagers thought it was thunder. Others believed an earthquake was coming. But the oldest elder in the village knew better. He looked toward the sacred tree, and his face suddenly became pale because the massive trunk was moving, not from the wind, not from the rain. Something was moving inside the tree. The villagers gathered around with burning torches. Nobody dared to come too close. The elders shouted for everyone to step back, but curiosity was stronger than fear. The strange movement continued. The bark began to crack. Deep sounds came from inside the tree. It sounded almost like breathing, slow, heavy, and alive. Then something struck the inside of the trunk. Boom! The villagers screamed. Another strike followed. Boom! The sacred tree shook violently. Some people fell to the ground. Children began crying, and the elders started praying. The oldest elder raised his hands and shouted, "Nobody touch the tree!" But it was already too late. A bright light began appearing through the cracks in the bark. At first, it was only a faint glow. Then it became brighter, brighter than the villagers' torches. The entire forest became illuminated by a strange golden light. Suddenly, the tree split open. With a sound that echoed through the entire forest, the enormous trunk cracked apart, and from inside, something stepped out. The villagers froze. It looked like a human being, but it was not human. Its body was covered in strange glowing markings. Its eyes shone like burning stars, and around its body floated tiny particles of golden light. Nobody moved. Nobody spoke. Even the animals of the forest became silent. Then the mysterious being looked toward the villagers, and when it finally spoke, its voice sounded as if hundreds of people were speaking at the same time. It said, "You have forgotten." The villagers stared at one another. Forgotten what? The being slowly raised one hand, and suddenly images began appearing in the air. The villagers saw their ancestors. They saw the first people who had lived on that land. They saw the sacrifices, the promises, the traditions, and the oath that had once been made beneath the sacred tree. The ancestors had promised to protect the forest, to protect the land, and to protect the balance between humans and nature. But generation after generation, the people had forgotten. They had become too focused on wealth, too focused on power, too focused on taking from the earth and giving nothing back. The mysterious figure looked directly at the village elder. Then it said, "The tree did not call me. A long silence followed. The ancestors did. Suddenly, the ground began shaking again. The villagers screamed and ran, but the elder remained where he stood. He understood what was happening. This was not an attack. It was a warning. The mysterious figure turned toward the forest. Before disappearing into the darkness, it gave the villagers one final message. When the sacred tree dies, the memory of your people dies with it. Then the golden light disappeared. The forest became dark again. The mysterious being was gone, but the enormous tree remained open. And inside its broken trunk, the villagers discovered something they had never seen before. Hundreds of ancient carvings, names, stories, promises, and warnings left behind by their ancestors. From that night onward, the people of Umuora changed. They protected the forest. They stopped destroying the sacred land. And every year they gathered beneath the ancient tree to tell the stories of those who came before them. But even today, the elders say that sometimes when the village is completely silent, you can hear something moving inside the sacred tree. And whenever the sound returns, the elders know one thing: the ancestors are watching,